Hey, folks, this is Eric. God bless you. And a while back, I was invited to partner up with a guy named Sal, who's a legitimate scientist, to debate on modern day debate against a couple of atheists, and I accepted. And we didn't have a chance to get together. We didn't have a chance to work anything out, but that was okay. He wanted to present what he presented. I wanted to present what I presented. And overall, I guess it was an okay debate, but it would have been much better had we been coalesced into actually working together. But I was happy, very happy with my arguments here. I only got a chance to speak a couple of times, but I was very happy with the way it went. And I'm going to lay this out here for your perspective. Feel free to comment and let me know what you think.
So I do kind of want to jump in here just really quick to
For sure.
I guess kind of a little bit in defense of Eric here. So I feel like the question kind of insinuates a little bit that there needs to be something that they view as not being designed. I don't think that's the case. Like I think it's perfectly reasonable for them to say, well, I think everything's designed, but because the question we're looking at here isn't point to a thing that you think is designed. The question is point to a thing that you think proves design, something that demonstrates that it must have been designed. Look at that. Everything could have been designed, but not everything we can take a look at and be like, oh yeah, that means it was designed.
That's a good point. And if that was a question that you were asking me, and I know it wasn't, but I'm just saying, if it were, I would answer as cell. Because a cell is so intriguing. We're supposed to believe that a cell just randomly formed. And over a period of time, they kept trying and kept randomly, until it randomly formed. Well, a cell is recognized by many scientists as being the most unique and complicated machine that we've ever seen. We can't build machines that are this efficient and complicated. We just can't do it. These are living machines, my friend, living machines. It's like walking into a factory at Ford where everything's automated and just touching something and they all come to life. All these little bitty machines that are doing different, and they're programming themselves. Think of what had to happen if this randomly happened. Then while all of these proteins and acids are randomly gathering and forming to eventually lead toward a cell, there's something else going on inside it. And the software to run that machine is being created to run it perfectly in conjunction while that is being created. Now, check this out. They say, well, it didn't just happen once. So what has to happen is this has to happen in populations. It's almost like saying the impossible has to happen in a large population, and then they all just have to suddenly spring to life, boom, just like that, and start replicating. Dude, it's magic. I mean, look, I know Christians get ridiculed a lot for saying creation. But look at what you guys, not you personally, but look at what the other side wants me to believe. That this just happened randomly. I know computers and software do not build themselves. I know they don't. And even if they did, they would have to be programmed to build themselves by somebody superior. So, yeah, that I would say the cell, my friend, is proof of creation. Just to divide, do you understand all the little complexities that have to transpire? You have a machine inside that cell that zips the DNA in half. And then there's another machine that splices the other half of the DNA, splices that DNA with the other half of another half of a DNA code. It's just amazing, guys. That would be I'm sorry, I know I talk a lot, but I stand in awe of the cell.
Okay, so I'd like to respond super quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Eric, that was great. How you were able to talk about that, so effectively for that time frame. I think based on that, that's almost an entire intro. So we're gonna kick it over to Viper and Malachi. Here, we'll give you guys a couple minutes to expound on what Eric said there.
Now, for illustration, let's take a quick look at exactly what I'm talking about here. I think you'll like this. Be amazed.
Place to start, the double helix molecule we always talk about. This is a scientifically accurate depiction of DNA created by Drew Barry at the Walter and Eliza Hall Institute of Medical Research. If you unwind the two strands, you can see that each has a sugar phosphate backbone connected to the sequence of nucleic acid base pairs, known by the letters A, T, G, and C. Now, the strands run in opposite directions, which is important when you go to copy DNA. Copying DNA is one of the first steps in cell division. Here, the two strands of DNA are being unwound and separated by the tiny blue molecular machine called helicase. Helicase literally spins as fast as a jet engine. The strand of DNA on the right has its complementary strand assembled continuously, but the other strand is more complicated because it runs in the opposite direction. So it must be looped out with its complementary strand assembled in reverse, section by section. At the end of this process, you have two identical DNA molecules, each one a few centimeters long, but just a couple nanometers wide. So to prevent the DNA from becoming a tangled mess, it is wrapped around proteins called histones, forming a nucleosome. These nucleosomes are bundled together into a fiber known as chromatin, which is further looped and coiled to form a chromosome, one of the largest molecular structures in your body. You can actually see chromosomes under a microscope in dividing cells. Only then do they take on their characteristic shape. Otherwise, the DNA is more strewn inside the nucleus. The process of dividing a cell takes around an hour in mammals, so this footage is from a time-lapse. You can see how the chromosomes line up on the equator of the cell. Now, when everything is right, they are pulled apart into the two new daughter cells, each one containing an identical copy of DNA. Now, as simple as this looks, the process is incredibly complicated and requires even more fascinating molecular machines to accomplish it. So let's look at a single chromosome. One chromosome consists of two sausage-shaped chromatids, containing the identical copies of DNA made earlier. Each chromatid is attached to microtubule fibers, which guide and help align them in the correct position. The microtubules are connected to the chromatid at the kinetochore, here colored red. The kinetochore consists of hundreds of different proteins working together to achieve multiple objectives. In fact, it's one of the most sophisticated molecular mechanisms inside your body. The kinetochore is central to the successful separation of the chromatids. It creates a dynamic connection between the chromosome and the microtubules. For a reason no one's yet been able to figure out, the microtubules are constantly being built at one end and deconstructed at the other. While the chromosome is still getting ready, the kinetochore sends out a chemical stop signal to the rest of the cell, shown here by the red molecules, basically saying this chromosome is not yet ready to divide. The kinetochore also mechanically senses tension. When the tension is just right and the position and attachment are correct, all the proteins get ready, shown here by turning green. At this point, the stop signal broadcasting system is not switched off. Instead, it is literally carried away from the kinetochore down the microtubules by a dynein motor. That's the walking guy. This is really what it looks like. It has long legs so it can avoid obstacles and step over the kinesins, molecular motors that walk in the opposite direction. Personally, I'm astounded by these tiny molecular machines, how they're able to...
Isn't that just amazing? And the atheists would have us believe that this just happened randomly. It all just fell together. The creation of these machines and this machine that's housing all of these machines, they want us to believe that randomly occurred. Blindly, accidentally, if you will. And not only that, but the DNA inside them that runs them all perfectly just happened to self-create itself at the very same time. Brothers and sisters, that's not even good science fiction. So, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Pass this on and share it to people that are skeptics. God bless you guys.